The reformed Champions League, Europa League and Conference League this season. The league phase draws are coming up tomorrow. It is fair to say there's been plenty of changes to the procedure. We're going to do our best, or at least these two are, to try and explain the process now. As he said, tomorrow, the draw in Monaco. How's it going to look?
Well, I think the big element that we've got to remember, Rob, is that we've gone from this traditional group phase to a league phase, so 36 teams. And we've mentioned here that a computer is going to be involved in making this draw because it gets quite complicated. OK, so 36 teams get split into 4 pots, and that's based on their UEFA Club coefficient, which is basically their historical performance in Europe, how well they've done previously. So those clubs will be drawn out of a hat. One of them will be drawn out of pot 1, and then a computer will then decide who they will play in their 8 league fixtures. So you play 4 teams at home, 4 teams away. Different teams every time. It's not home and away like previously. We have to get used to this new format now. And each team will play 2 teams from each of the 4 pots, 1 home and 1 away. This idea that you play strong teams straight away. So we see good, high-quality matches straight from the off, and also even quality matches right through the competition. You cannot face teams from the same nation at this stage, and you can only face a maximum of 2 teams from one country at this stage of the competition as well. And when you start looking through all those details, you understand why they've handed it over to the algorithm to sort out.
What could possibly go wrong tomorrow? I can't think. Let's talk about the, where is it? 3rd point, 4th point. 4 home games, digging in 4 away games. So my maths isn't great, but that's 2 more group games than last year for everyone involved in the Champions League. I can cast my mind forward to complaints about fixture pile-up. I suppose fans, particularly I would say Villa fans, will like it because they're in the Champions League for the first time in forever and 8 matches, but there will be complaints about the amount of games that players are playing.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be more games, of course, and there is the potential that you might get some more interesting fixtures because a lot of new teams qualified for the Champions League. Not just Aston Villa, but Bologna are in the Champions League for the first time since the mid-'60s, Stuttgart for the first time since 2009-10. Everyone's keen to see how Bayer Leverkusen translate that form to the Champions League, still unbeaten in over 40 games in domestic competition, of course, after a great start to the season for Xabi Alonso's men. There's also Girona, who were in the Segunda Division 3 years ago, competing in the Champions League. So there's a lot of underdog stories in this year's competition, along with the big dogs of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, etc. So it should be an intriguing draw, if it works.
Sure it will. That's the Champions League. What about the Europa League then?
Yeah, it's copy and paste job really, Rob,
oh, good.
because
saved us a bit of time.
Yeah, Europa League, again, going to this 36-team league format. And once again, the computer is brought in to solve these fixture issues where teams can't play teams from the same country and they can only face 2 teams from other countries at this stage. And once again, we have this situation where you play 4 at home, 4 away against different teams from different pots. Just a little note, Rob, about that, expected to last around 35 minutes, because we know that these draws can drag on. But,
do they ever?
Well, when they did a rehearsal with humans doing this draw, it took over 3 hours.
Oh,
so
wow.
Maybe 35 minutes. Count your blessings that we've only got 35 minutes tomorrow.
Well, Vicky Gummas was on doing the draw tomorrow. She's due to be 5 till 7. It might be 5 till 10 if it takes 3 hours. Let's talk about the Europa League then with the English representatives, which are Manchester United and Tottenham. Who do you think they might or could come up against?
Well, again, there's some games to fear. Athletic Club with Nico Williams, one of the stars of Euro 2024, of course, in the summer. They've not started the season in the best of form, but Nico Williams will be expecting to make a big impact given how well he played at the Euros. There's Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, never an easy away draw. Olympiacos won the Conference League last year, beating Aston Villa on the way, beating Fiorentina in the final. There's Roma, there's Lazio. Roma won the Conference League a few years ago, Europa League semi-finalists the next year. So there is a lot of quality in this draw, and there's still so many games to be decided prior to the draw happening as well. So it's going to be an absolutely fascinating competition once again.
Right, Conference League.
Yeah, slightly different. Slightly different for the Conference League. If Chelsea will beat Servette across these 2 legs and get through into this competition, this is what they're going to face. Again, we've got 36 teams, but they're going to be split into 6 pots, again, based on their club coefficient, their historic performance in Europe. And slightly fewer games for teams in this competition. They play 6 league fixtures, 3 home, 3 away. This competition actually wraps up in December. The other 2 go into January. So, yeah, slightly earlier finish for this one, but those caveats below are tweaked slightly. So each team will play 1 team from each of those 6 pots. you can't face teams from the same nation in this phase of the competition like the other competitions, and you can only face a maximum of 2 teams from one country in the league phase of the Conference League.
I want to throw a hospital pass, 'cause it's not been written down, but do you know the pots for the English clubs?
Not yet.
Not
no.
off the top of my head.
Okay, I know City are 1 and Villa are 4, and I'm assuming Chelsea will be 1 in that. Let's talk about the potential then for the English clubs in terms of going the distance this year.
Well, it's Chelsea, and we've been talking about their squad depth and what they'd expect from this season. They'll want to re-establish themselves at the sharp end of European football. And yes, it's the Conference League, but since winning the Champions League in 2021, they've had 2 quarter-final exits in the Champions League. Of course, didn't play in it last year after a poor performance in the league the year before. And this is a great opportunity for the likes of Dewsbury Hall to get some game time in this competition. Maybe Axel Disasi, Badia Shiel as well. Maybe João Felix will really announce himself in a Chelsea shirt after that slightly tricky loan spell the year before last as well. So Chelsea will be hoping for big things from this competition. They've certainly got the squad depth to make a real dent in it.
And just finally, European competitions affect the EFL Cup this year. Why?
They do. So we've got the Carabao Cup draw tonight after the final round of second round games tonight. Now the third round of the Carabao Cup clashes with the first games of the Champions League and the Europa League fixtures. So those Champions League and Europa League teams who've qualified for those competitions will not face each other in the Carabao Cup draw. So they'll be kept apart in the Carabao Cup draw. Chelsea, if they do get through against Servette, they will be in the Carabao Cup draw. In the open draw, they could play anyone because the Conference League starts in October after the Carabao Cup third round ties have been played.